It was beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
What's he got?
Dawkins asked Oposo between charges, pointing at a strange sight.
Oh, him? Nothing.
Turns out that nothing is called a bagpipe, and it was leading a whole gang of desperados into battle with them. They stole back any goods that were making their way out in the retreats. Black, orange, and purple was their outfit.
You think you have a wild show in the West?
Laughed Kaya.
Wait until you meet them.
Hello and welcome back to the official companion podcast for Buffalo and the Multiverse, the only podcast where you're going to hear all about this amazing book, Mafia, Buffalo versus the Multiverse. I am your host, Cory McCants.
I am Travis Carlson. I wrote this thing.
And so every episode, if you don't know, we are going to talk about real life stats from the Buffalo Bills season. We'll talk about the games, details from it, as well as what inspired the chapters of this book. What you just heard was a clip from the chapter, the Triple Alliance, which is what we're going to be talking about, as well as the Bear Down episode. So y'all get a 2-for-1 special this episode.
If you have your Topps bonus card. Otherwise, you have to pay for both episodes.
There you go. So y'all get the special edition though. So before we get further into it, Travis, how about you give us a quick breakdown of this chapter?
Yes. So I guess we'll say that an incompetent alliance of Jets, Patriots, and Dolphins ride into the Buffalo Nation, and they are no match for the actual Triple Alliance of the Bills, the Sabres, and the Bandits. And then shortly after that, the deadliest winter storm in Buffalo history pummels our heroes.
Yeah. So we get a little bit of light, a little bit of the heavy, but it's all wrapped up in this amazing chapter. So what do you think made that the right hook for this episode?
Actually, I had trouble picking the right hook, but it just because it kind of flirts with like that Christmas is coming and snow. Plus, we get to hear somebody named Kaya Oposo is teaching Josh and the Bills about this other group of people, this group of bandits who have joined them. So reality at this time, like what was going on in the real Buffalo Nation is. So we just come back from like the Thanksgiving detour where we were in Detroit for 2 games in a row, and then the Bills just went on a tear. We easily beat all of our division opponents: the Patriots, the Jets, and the Dolphins.
I want to get this correct. Let me check my notes real quick because I wrote it down.
Yeah.
So when you say easily beat, yeah. We had the Patriots. We were 24-10.
24-10.
The Jets, we were 20-12, and Miami, we were 32-29.
Yeah.
So we put a spanking on them teams.
Yeah, and it was coincidental, or maybe design of the NFL, but they all were back-to-back. All of our division opponents, and the Jets and the Dolphins were both at Buffalo. And we had, if you don't remember, that was a snowy game. It's kind of a nice mirror because when we played the Dolphins in Miami, it was the hot game.
Yeah.
Like ultimate Miami weather. And then in Buffalo, it was snowing and cold and kind of the ultimate Buffalo weather.
So, like, it wasn't even that far of a break.
3 games in 12 days.
There we go.
And they were all away.
Yeah.
That had never happened in the NFL before. That was incredible. And the Bills won all 3.
All 3.
And not only is it 3 games away, but they're in short. But the Bills, I guess, are coming off of an unexpected away game going to Detroit ahead of that. And plus, there was a terrible winter storm they were digging out of, and they all got sick. I mean, it's just a really weird coincidence of like off the field stuff with a really glitchy part of a schedule that both hit them at the same time.
Yeah.
And as everyone knows who now lives here with us in the present day, they were heading towards what would be the ultimate glitch of the Bengals game and Hamlin's injury. The weirdest schedule ever. The most, I don't know, you think of the NFL season or most sports as just kind of like being outside of our real world. And like they aren't really attached to what's going on because they're in their private little stadiums and they carve out time on a Sunday that's just for them. And not this time. It was like it just felt much more close. Like our real world was bleeding into the NFL. The weather and the destinations, and then obviously the injuries. So it's just a weird time in a really weird season. So glad to be able to pick that one coincidentally to bring to life.
Yeah. But like, what made you choose this setting for the book?
It felt very appropriate because these are all our division rivals, all back to back to back, that they might all kind of create this little alliance. And who would do that? So we got to acknowledge Bill Belichick, the last remaining Patriot rival that we had from, he'd beaten us 36 times. I bet there's not very many Bills players who'd played 36 games. And Bill Belichick had beaten us 36 times. Kind of make him into a mastermind of a triple alliance where he's trying to get, if he can't do it himself, he's going to try to get the Jets and the Dolphins, but he's playing them too. In this multiverse scheme, he's saying like all three of us are going to go to the nation and attack them together. And then he's like, go ahead, guys. I'm right behind you. You got it. He kind of lets those two go first and doesn't actually come in to support them. The Bills take care of business, and the Patriots will make their run towards the Bills later. But just kind of keep in mind like this play that he's done to his own alliance. But he is a mastermind.
So I do find this interesting with like how your brain brings together. There was only one place to go when you made the Patriots. They had to be the Patriots of 1700s. And I do think that's a great point with Bill Belichick. So it does seem like when you're talking about the switch of eras, right? The Bills coming in at this point without Tom Brady, is different. So them coming into town, I think, is the respect is there, which you also cover in the book. Like one thing I think works so well is how you build the legacy of what the Wild West show is versus what the Buffalo Bills were becoming. Because now, you got the Bills in commercials and the Bills are being talked about on every sports podcast and every sports channel. So them coming into town now, it's not like, the Buffalo Bills, like Allen and Diggs and this team and they have like more gusto to them. Right. Yeah, exactly.
And the fans can just sort of like, they don't have as much to be like, you guys suck. It's kind of like, you guys have just won like
you guys are on the roll
10 in a row. So I think there's a line in here where like they had a nice helping of humble pie and got to just like watch the army gets to walk through. You kind of have seen that in some war movies or real war history where sometimes the town folk aren't they're just walk through and we'll just kind of watch you. We're going to not talk to you much. Just kind of look over. So
there's also quite a few references. I don't know if I'd say like cross multiversal or something like that, but we kind of step outside of the football zone a little bit. So do you have like, I have a clip. I don't know if you do. If you have a clip that kind of references this, let's go to a clip before I talk more about it.
I'm Captain Kaya Poso. You are in the growing glaciers,
the Saber-Tooth Mountains. Josh whispered in awe. People can live here?
I don't know. But they can die here.
That was the clip I chose. I think it was quite the entrance. And that line, I don't know if y'all heard that line of, can people live here? Yeah. I don't know, but they can die here. Oh, that's writing right there. You was writing right there. That's such a cold line.
So that is Kyle Oposo. So Kyle is the captain of the Sabres. So we have done our first kind of cameo crossover moment where the Sabres are acknowledged as being a part of the Buffalo Multiverse. We've said before, everybody, Eric Starchild's here. You're here. Right. We're all here. So of course the Sabres are here, but and this is our first interaction of like, what is life like for a Sabre? So we find that Kyle is like a really hardcore like survivalist who's living up in the Saber-Tooth Mountains, and they're going through a drought, an epic drought, super long drought. At this point, it's probably like 11 years, and Kyle's been there for a long time, and that's what he's referring to in terms of like Josh is like, I didn't think people lived in the mountains. And he's like, or you might extend that to be like, I didn't know there were Sabres fans still in this extension. He's like, I don't know if there are, but they can die here or whatever, There's a line there where Josh is like, somehow it reminded him of he's hearing screams through his hooded. He's getting like kind of like brought to a secret lair.
Yeah.
And he's hearing screams from the mountains, and he's like, somehow it reminds me of back home in the drought, but it's frozen. And he's hearing the fact that if there are people who are living up there, they're suffering in the same drought. So,
So before we get too far, because I know you have a clip too, so maybe we just come back to this. I was hearing in the multiverse, I was hearing that there may be more reference to the Sabres in their own multiverse. Yeah. I don't know how true this is. It's just something I heard. You know what I mean? Yeah. So maybe it's something we come back to. But if it is true, can we get the deets on if there's like another multiverse out there?
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll save that for the big question today.
Okay. We'll go back. Okay. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
All right. So you have a clip?
The survivalist flipped over the parchment to reveal a wanted poster with a reward worth enough dignity to remake a life 1,000 times. Or to end a drought once. A great frozen drought. And the poster had Josh of Allentown's sketch on it. Captain Kaya Poso drew 2 sabers and crossed them at Josh's neck. I survive. Josh of Allentown.
It does feel pretty cool just to think of our Sabres captain taking his cross swords off, and and he has our savior at his disposal. To Kyle, to have someone so powerful, like kind of like in his possession, and to know basically anyone in the multiverse would trade anything to have Josh, and sort of like trying to just show that power dynamic between the Bills and the Sabres at this point. One is like suffering by himself in a wasteland of frozen mountains with theoretically no people, and then like the most valuable player is in his hands. And what he might trade and what he might give to Belichick or any of these other players is as probably as valuable as what it would mean to save the drought. And so just wanted to leave on that suspense of like, and then for us to not know how the Sabres might be interacting with the Bills, of like, are they going to be buddies? Are they going to be...
Yeah.
So the verdict is out, and we're not sure. And if anything, it seems like there's a ton of motivation for Kyle to double cross or betray or not be a friend of the Bills.
So this after going through that part, it did spark this like thought in my head. I don't know if you've ever seen like, in the early 2000s when like everybody's wearing jerseys. Obviously I'm wearing a jersey, but like the big jerseys and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like to see Allen Iverson wearing a football jersey is like so odd, because it's like, that's so strange, right? Or to see a baseball player wearing something. Yeah. But it kind of sparked that in my head. Like there was a point where being a Bills fan, being a Sabres fan, anything was like, it was tough, right? It's hard to do. Mm-hmm. Is there any crossover there? Like does Allen in our drought see the Sabres and be like, what up, man? You know what I mean? Like, do they interact? Do they cross? So in the book, it's like, how would they interact? But in real life, it made me wonder, are they sharing in this bond of like, we got to represent Buffalo? And right now, in times today, is like, how does that turn, or what does that turn into?
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like in our real history, the Sabres would be good at a time when the Bills weren't good, and vice versa. Except, I mean, truly, if it's a season to season, that did line up. But you could generally say in the 90s, there was the 4 years of the Bills being dominant and going to the Super Bowl. And then the Sabres were very strong in those years, too. So that was almost when they were almost at the exact same time great. But still, the Bills had just sort of cliff dove when the Sabres made it to the Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. And then it seems to be that. And then remember back in the day, they were competing, 2 different ownership groups, 2 different sports, 2 different leagues, competing for the same limited resources of Buffalonians' money. Yeah. So, your family has to make a choice of like, do I want a Sabre season ticket or a Bills season ticket? I love that, and I'm going to explore that in a a book.
Hold up. You heard that? Hold up. Okay.
There's so much, but that will be its own, I'm not going to like cameo that into anything else. That'll be its own feature of like the Thurman, Kelly, Andre and Bruce and Dominic Hasek and Razor and all kind of competing, and John Tavares in the Bandits. All trying to kind of compete. Different ownerships, different leagues, scarce resources, not on the same page, competing for the Buffalo Nation, as an empire might do back in the day. And the era we find ourselves in now, though, the Pagula era, they're all the same ownership group. There is like, again, it's so fun. It's just like medieval history and empires, but there's now a single emperor.
Get nerdy for us, man. Yeah, I love it.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the era we're in now, there is one owner. And we've met him, the Viceroy of Pagulaville. So he is the owner, and plenty of stuff to explore later. But that, I guess, is what gets us to the Triple Alliance that's coming, and what we heard in the intro, which is that we maybe had a lot to gain by competing with each other, but we're not. Kyle and the Bandits are coming up to bat and joining the Bills in a charge, and like using the intel from the Bruins and the Patriots, the Boston teams, against each other to help protect their own. So they're all seeing it as one unified group, and that's sort of the fun of that charge of like, nope, we're all unified, we're here to help. And so
Weeks later, a weakening opened in the sky, and 11 green jet fighters rocketed into 1872. Buffalo Nation. Helicopters, sports cars, and mobile radar systems of the 1980s followed fast. Gotham green and spotlights lit up the quaint row of Allentown saloons as aqua and orange streaks of color sped down Main Street and deployed their vice cops. And bad boy Broadway heartthrobs.
That's probably why I wanted the clip. I wanted to hear you sing. So I chose this clip. One, because it's the intro, it's the entrance of the Triple Alliance, but two, specifically because we bring back 1980s Miami Vice Travis, and I love that voice, just in like the whoa, totally, like I love it. So I was so glad that it came back. But it is also an epic entrance to, again, what I see in my head. Like, I see the visuals here, but like the movie I see of like the portal opening, boom, the jets and the dancers coming out, and like it is just so epic for them to be like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, it was quite the entrance, and again, the voices are just the best.
Yeah, I hate the way I sound in the singing part. It's so easy to write some of this, and then you're doing the audiobook, and you're like, I don't know the notes, and I'm not a singer, and I don't know what to, but so that's fine. But it is and because we visited these places already in their own hometowns, like it is fun to see them come back. There's just like and it's easier to condense it and just to be like those guys again,
right.
You know, and it's fun now to escalate it to be like, yeah, but they're together, like this little alliance of duels. They kind of come in hot and heavy. They got their white fashion on of the winter. Both groups are very interested in how they look in the multiverse, and I think in real life. I think the Miami fashion scene and the New York City fashion scene are both there, and turns out the fashion isn't just enough, and they're all reliant on gasoline and oil, and when they get to the 1800s and expend it all, there's just nothing left. Yeah. So the horsepower, as they say in Dune, the desert power will win the war, because the carnivorous bison of the real Triple Alliance come out in the old-fashioned saber swords, and that's what does them in. And they whoop them. Yeah. And like I said, it was a snow game, so it's very appropriate to bring that out. in real life, this was the game where fans started throwing snowballs at the Dolphins.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
There's a million references and Easter eggs in here. I'm sure there's a bunch I didn't catch. I mentioned a few I did. But do you have any favorites that stand out to you that you want to, like, plant on us?
Yeah. We'll do lightning round for references.
Yeah.
Cheetah, Tua Tagovailoa, who we call the Tua the Tuna. And then we got Penguin, all of our animal characters from the 80s. And we get to have him actually waddling and marching, like March of the Penguins. Then when the Sabres come, we get to have Kyle saying like, ooh, Sabres are on the warpath. Plus, then the Bandits are here. We get to hit a lot of their catchphrases like, what's he got? Nothing. Turns out that nothing is the bagpipe. So the bagpipers sort of leading their charge. I can't wait to get into a Bandit land someday. And then also there's a final image of Tua Tagovailoa on the sidelines of that game, like with a parka like over his entire body. You could only see his little eyes. And he looked like he was like covered in like a horse, like an animal was over his body. And then I say that inside of that, he's wearing the I Wish It Were Colder shirt, which all those guys were wearing, especially their coach at practice, like trying to like taunt, like, oh man, like you guys think it's going to be so cold.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be that cold.
That's how you do that's how you do, it's like hidden in plain sight. You know what I mean? It's natural in the story, but when you know, and that's why it's so good. So when you're like telling us what they are, it's like, oh, I should have known.
I mean, yeah, and the Sabres on the Warpath is finally back.
Yeah.
You guys are from the future. Unfortunately, we don't know how it went, but that chant is back. The Sabres are back. Yeah. Right now, Cory and I are recording this. Yeah. After the Sabres won Game 1 of the Boston series. Huge comeback, we all believe.
Yeah, so leave it in the comment section. What happened? Let us know if we're looking towards happiness or sadness.
But yeah, it's Sabres fever, and it's fun to see what everybody said of like that. My whole life, people were like, dude, when the Sabres are in the playoffs, it's crazy. It's hockey heaven here. And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, great to see it. But I can see it now. It's awesome. Yeah. In our lightning round of references, I forgot to mention the reason that the Sabres and the Bandits showed up this moment isn't just because it's convenient, but because it's the first time in history that on the same day where they all won.
Oh, right.
They're all there.
Right.
Yeah. So by the end of the chapter, that triple alliance we thought was Bill Belichick's axis of evil trying to get us, it's actually the Buffalo Nation winning and dominating historically for the first time, all under the same unity. We're feeling good.
Yes. It's win after win after win for us. Yeah. Win after win after win for the alliance. Yeah. We whooping everybody. Buffalo on top. The energy is high. Everybody's loving it. We're in the playoffs. Yep. So we are riding this high. And then we're going to play the Bears away. Yeah,
should be an easy game.
Right? But at home, things kind of take a bit of a turn.
Yes.
And so it goes from this really up high to some really serious and devastating news that we'll, I guess, get into, as things start to take this turn.
That's the Christmas storm. So Christmas Eve, we know that a decently bad lick of cold weather is going to come. Mostly they're like, you're going to get about 20 inches. It's going to be about negative 20 degrees. Like get your food, hunker down a bit. We had no idea actually how bad it was going to be. Yeah. Those scary predictions weren't even close.
No. So the next chapter is Bear Down and the Christmas Storm.
Yeah, because our Bills Nation needed to hunker down. Yeah, and somewhere the Bills played the Bears, but that was almost irrelevant to the natural disaster. So we're going to kick it off with Cory's clip and get into what this was the most dangerous storm we've ever had.
The mayor lowered his head. General Bean made the hardest decision of his life. We leave them. We must stop responding, he whispered.
4-0.
Yes, sir.
Tell Dorsey to send the code to anyone still out there. No help possible.
So, yeah, I mean, one of the difficult things about doing something like this book here is you're recapping what happened, the good and the not so good. And so, you know, that comes with tragedy. And so the reason why I chose this clip, this is coming at a point where the Bills are out there trying to help as many as they can, and it's becoming worse for everybody, to the point where you have to make the decision of like, we can't get out there. And that is, in my opinion, directly related to actual first responders. Like during this storm, that was real. It was, we can't get to you, and we are in more danger trying to get to you and helping less people around us, so we can't come. And I don't know if that's, in my life, that never happened. I'd never heard that, of people being like the ones coming to help being like, we can't help, we can't get to you.
It was the first time that the fire brigade in Buffalo had not answered a call. They had never not responded to a call in history, and it was a hard moment for them to be told, like, stop being so brave. Like, we actually are. You need to stop. 2/3 of you guys, whether it's fire or all first responders, are stuck, and we're having trouble getting you back. You're just, yes, 2/3. So that means you got 1/3 to try to get 60% of the units who are already stuck, and it was dangerous. You couldn't see much farther than your hand outstretched.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily for those of us who continued to have heat and stuff, it was just something that happened on the outside of the window. And you know, I remember taking the dog out, and it was kind of funny at first to be like, this is insane, but you couldn't be out there for a minute without feeling something you don't really ever feel, even though we feel cold all the time and our blood thickens and stuff. But
this is
different.
Absolutely different. And I feel like most people here have stories of either themselves or someone they know. Like family members of me, like, you know, all we could do was get blankets and get in the bathtub, you know what I mean? And like just body heat, and there's nothing you can do.
They lost power.
And you lost power. There's nothing you can do, and there's nobody that can come get you. You know? So it was scary. And I do think that there are parts of this, of what you wrote, that really, you can tell you were here for it. Because there's a point of view of hearing a news story and seeing something, and there's a point of living through something and writing about it in a creative way, and you can tell you were here, because some of it is just like, oh, yes, that is it. That's what I'm talking about, and like it's truly felt, you know, through the characters.
Yeah, and I try to just sort of step back and kind of let the facts speak for themselves. Like, don't over embellish too much. And most of the stuff you read about the weather, about the number of first responders, you know, they're all just skin deep metaphors for what was happening to our real people. It's hard to even just talk about. Yeah, people who were freezing outside, you know, in snowbanks and in their cars. Like, it's really hard to think about. And you know, I try to do the perspective of what it's like to be the leadership. You know, so the leaders in our community who were making some of these tough calls, being the Bean and the McDermott characters, and 4-0's helping them who's wounded, and also in their context, I tried to put on what was more my experience, which was just like looking at my windows, looking at in our attic, like the snow like blowing into our attic, and the way it was forming different. Like, it wasn't, yes, your windows will frost over every winter several times. This time it was frosting over, and the snow was creating these big like tumors because it was flash freezing to the window and growing. Like, it's weird. I felt just like I was in like this dark nightmare. And then I realized that's for me inside with the heat on. So what is it like for the people who are out there? And that's where I just wanted to be like, basically, this is where my lived experience stops, when I'm looking out the window, wondering what's out there. And then and then our character Josh sort of, and Cade and Hannibal and some of these other guys are Hannibal representing our fire department, bringing people back, saying like, guys, we're dealing with frostbite on people almost immediately. And the the symbolism of like needing to destroy this kid's teddy bear to keep her hands warm, and the bear picking the bear instead of a different stuffed animal because we were playing the bears, but trying to make the bears a smaller part of this. And then and the fact that he's finding family members and who didn't make it, and craving to go back out and dealing with that difficulty of like being told no and what that will mean for the neighbors.
Froze his blood. Forget 20 inches or 2-foot predictions. Forget devastating wind chills of 10 or 15 below. The actual wind crippled the nation at negative 35 degrees below zero. 56 inches of snow fell, as high as a man's chest. That wind shoved powder like that into an avalanche the size of a sea. It moved white waves across the frontier as tall as 8 feet. Josh returned to the shelter of last resort, fearing the worst.
So that's just some of the stats. Blew us away. So 85 inches of snow after what? I think I had tried to have Dawkins and Morris talk about like what's normal for an overnight storm. 20 inches? Like no, that's usually all of December. And I don't know what you experienced, but when I would walk the dog that night or the days after, there were drifts. 8 feet high, way high. And there's times where the road is bare. It just would create these piles that are literally sand dunes or snow dunes.
So what I remember is, cars being left. You know, I like from where I was living, I would walk to the main street and there were just cars. You know, like what can you do? The car is done. It stopped and I got to get out of here. So there's just cars in places. At the time I lived on a really small side street. So there's no chance of anything or anybody coming down. So everything was a walk. I had to walk to whatever grocery store happened to be open, like maybe a couple days later, because not every store was open. And I remember I rolled out. I had the biggest book bag I could carry. I was like, I'm gonna buy what I could buy and head back here. You know what I mean? And that was it. Like it was. And I was by myself at the time. I think my girlfriend was. I don't think she was in town. Either she was with her family or she was out of town or something like that. But I was by myself, and so it was just like, what am I gonna do? You know, you just gotta hope nothing, because can't nobody come get me. So hopefully nothing happens. And you were really making those decisions. Like, do I go get food? Do I, just bear for the next day or two? And you didn't know what was gonna happen.
There's a house nearby that collapsed. And then days later, the National Guard gets activated. But I remember feeling like, everyone in Buffalo knew that we didn't respond. We weren't ready for that storm. No. We weren't ready for it. Mm-hmm. You can't have 41 people die and say, like, we are comfortable with our disaster plan. I was actually pretty frustrated and ashamed. Like, why is there not a snowmobile at every ambulance station? Why are we relying on this stuff? But hopefully we've learned the deadliest storm in history. Blizzard of 77, as we remind ourselves, is like 27, 29 deaths. This got us to 41. It's crazy, and we don't.
It's tragic. And I think that when you're doing something like this, like the tone you take and the liberty you take is it's a fine line. And I do think, again, I'm sure it's just your personality, but also being in it, the grace you take with treading that line. And when we talk about like Alan with Cade and stuff like that, it's.
We can get into
it's felt,
We kind of like pick up in the middle of something. It seems like Josh has been trying to save a little boy, sort of like a Tiny Tim type character. Gets that last call of like, we're not coming, it's going to be just up to you. Seems like he's used a moose sort of Revenant style or Star Wars style to help keep some body heat going. And they make some sort of shelter and they just try to hunker down and outlast. Josh is using the firearm to intentionally burn himself to try to create heat for those guys for a while. And, not trying to ever like replace any of the actual stories, but trying to not ignore it either. Like there was people without heat trying to find a way to keep their kids entertained and keep them distracted and keep the fear down, even if they are very scared themselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you want to say it's dark, but it's the reality. Like, this is what it was. And so you're showing that, which is respectful because you don't want to ignore it, in the way that you can, like, show it in the way that you can. And so I was wondering, between the orphan girl and Cade in this, what were you pulling from? Were these just characters that you thought of, or was this somebody specific?
Yeah, it did give an opportunity to mention Cade, Super Cade. One of the benefits of being able to work with the Bills and film those types of things is I got to see that Josh is actually really bought into helping. I was really touched by an experience I had with Josh and Super Cade, as he's known. So Cade is a real person, and he's a fan who has an illness. It doesn't really matter what it is, and had a situation where he got to meet Josh and come to practice and spend time, and it was a surprise. And so, and just the entire experience was so genuine. And when you filmed 100 of these with different players from different leagues, that's not always something you can say, where the young person is truly grateful and the athlete is truly grateful that they get to spend time together. And most of us might know that Josh has a blue and white bracelet that he's always wearing. He's in the Madden cover. It's like very clear that it's on his wrist. That comes from Cade. It's a bracelet that Cade gave to him. That's around this idea of never ever give up. The ultimate Josh slogan too. Someone who won't quit. So I wanted to give some of that won't quit inspiration as if it came from Cade. And maybe it did in real life, but certainly the bracelet did, and this experience did. So that's where it was easy to just dovetail off of how beautiful real life is and this experience is, which is that Cade is helping to save Josh. Josh isn't always the hero. He's also, it's so easy to forget, he's just a 23, 24-year-old guy or kid, and he doesn't have superpowers. Yeah. Even if I make a whole universe that pretends he has superpowers, he doesn't. He's just a kid trying to figure it out, trying to find the right thing to say, as we all are. And I think that's important to realize. And these guys are just as weak as us, and they need our help. Yeah. And this whole period of time, this whole weekend was a transition where the Buffalo Nation needed to help each other. There wasn't help from the Cavalry. Yeah.
I think something that's also important to note in this chapter, like in real life, it was so much less about the game. You know what I mean? We needed each other in a real way, in real life, and just needing each other. And I think that is also shown here, that it's not about, the football game. It's not about the sport. It's about the community and what, if we all band together to donate to this thing, if we all band together because we're fans in this way, how does that look? Yeah. And when we really need it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like the majority of stories that came out of this storm wasn't even like a crowdfunding campaign. It was that like people were literally like looking out their window and like, honey, someone's out there. Yeah. Someone's calling for help, and we need to bring them into our house immediately. They did it. A gentleman who works at the North Park, one of our favorite movie theaters, and we go there all the time. He got trapped on Hurdle, place where all of us have been, and yeah, there's real life and death situations happening on all of our streets, and we needed to help each other, and we did. There's a little reference to one of the more pleasant stories was that there was a Korean tour, people from South Korea visiting to have a Winter Wonderland tour trip experience, from like take a bus from New York City to Buffalo to see the Winter Wonderland, and they were like stuck in a winter natural disaster. And they got stuck in Hamburg, and they all go to somebody's house and like live for several days. And
oh my goodness!
So we gave some love to them as a group of people who are here to visit Mount Sujimoto, which is a saber-toothed mountain reference that someday we'll get into. But
it would be so easy to let the story end there, to to relax into the movie version of his life and reminisce through the credits at all the names who made it possible. To sleep in the dream.
You let Philly stay so close, she'll have trouble leaving. Brigadier General of the Buffalo Bills will. It's your best skill. Look to the west.
It's crucial that we preserve the way.
Spy I will give my last finger to you. The thing about it is, Josh ain't alone. No, anymore.
But never ever give up.
So that's just to say that we're all here. It's not just Josh. It's that Josh has seen in his darkest hour that he isn't holding us all up. We're all holding together. And and I just wanted to like dramatize that turn. Every chapter sort of teaching Josh something, or he's changing. And this is that, like, as you just heard, like, he's finally able to put all together all these like kind of clips from other chapters where it's like, yeah, one person stepped up for me, and then like this person, and then like this team came, and then eventually it was Ryan Fitzpatrick rallying 70,000 people around me, and now we've got the youngest Super Cade, literally saving my life on a night where I was vulnerable, and and it's just, that's the story I want Buffalo to have and to embody and to live up to, as an ideal. I hope we can always do that, whether it's for Josh or just our neighbors. So, and that's a Christmas story is a time for something like that, big sentimental lessons.
So they are saved by an unexpected guest, I would say. And I think I have a clip that goes to this, and so it's not necessarily ending on the biggest downer, which you so easily could because it was so sad and tragic, but there's still that spark of magic and that spark of joy. So my clip will take us, I think, into this next part.
Even on a day where there's 9 hours of sunlight and a lot of hours of darkness, the sun does come up tomorrow.
There you go. I love that.
When did you get a bear cub? Asked Josh.
Well, just now, from St. Nick.
St. Nick?
Yes?
Said the voice outside. Josh squinted at Cade, cuddling the cub, and crawled out of the igloo.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Josh of Allentown. Go Bills. Oh.
Somebody had to choose this clip. I'm glad it was me. So when I was listening to this, I legit, like out loud, when this part came up, I was like, Santa Claus? Like, there's no way Santa Claus is in this? Santa Claus in the multiverse? So that brought so much joy. I think that was amazing to add to it. So yeah, I think he even says like, yeah, well, I'll be all up throughout here. What you mean? Of course. Why wouldn't I be? And so yeah, that was just, that was amazing to hear and to see. And so I love that part. I had to add that in there.
He's a Bills fan.
Yeah, go Bills. Yeah.
He's got a bison with a very shiny nose. Yeah. And that's how he gets to Allentown. He always uses a bison. Yeah. He's like, oh, that's the unlock we needed. All right, sweet.
Yeah. So that was just that. To me, that was like, that was needed. Right. And it was the perfect thing to add to it.
Yeah. Because eventually the first responders do come and they, it's Christmas. So it's going to be, it's the joy, it's the miracle. It's exactly what we want Santa to be. Mm-hmm. Shows up with just what you needed at the nick of time. And just for fun, the thing he happens to be giving to all the little kids and boys and girls of the Buffalo Nation are a bunch of little bears, little cubs, little non-threatening bears, because that's what the bears were at the time, was just a non-threatening bunch of rookies. And we're just like, oh, they're so cute. This is great. Right. Football's fun. Oh, man. Look at these things. Are they going to kill the bison at some point? Maybe, but anyways. You guys can deal with it. Yeah, and we got to meet Jeff Skinner of the Sabres, who was kind of in town and part of the crossover, and the Boston Bruins. Bruin is a weird word for a bear, so they've been dealing with bears and all this stuff. So it all creates a nice little jigsaw puzzle. So,
So you just again mentioned a cameo from Sabres.
Yeah.
So before we end, I want to go back to something that you said we would talk about. You said we could bring it back at the end. Is there some truth to you working on something for the Sabres Multiverse?
Mm-hmm. There's truth.
Yes.
In fact, I've already done all of that. Yeah. So I'll tell you a story. I had written about half of the Bills book, and wanted to make sure that as we released it, we had a good charity partner so that we could give some money back. We ended up going with Poncho Packs. And to do that, I reached out to Rich Dureller, a fantastic gentleman who works for the Sabres, to be like, who works with charities around Western New York. And I just wanted to be like, I've got this book, here's the book. It doesn't really matter what the book's about, but like, do you have a good charity partner that makes sense for us to give money to? And he's like, yeah, of course. But hold on, what is this story about the Bills and all this? And like, the Sabres need one. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, I've had some thoughts of like, the Sabres could be in it, but like, I've been really busy. And if you don't know, like, I'm crazy. And he's like, is there a way that we can like make a Sabres partnership and you bring this to life with our boys, Darlene and Tuck and Tage and Skinner and Kyle at the time. And we started this process, which became a good partnership where at the same time that I was finishing the Bills book, I was also writing a whole separate story. And the Sabres, mission was to give this out to students in the Buffalo Public Schools for free in little episodic periods. So like more like a serial pamphlet that they would hand out. And and we did it, and it was good.
Okay. So this book exists, and the kids got it. I'm glad it went well.
Yeah.
But is this like, where do we find it? Is this something that we can all?
So, no. The way the Sabres set it up was that it was just for the kids, and it was exclusive. I mean, I have a copy of what I bound it into a hardcover just for posterity's sake.
Yeah.
But. It was a special thing.
Do you actually like have like a hardcover?
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Yo, this is exclusive, right? Buffalo Multiverse exclusive right here. Oh my gosh.
That's the back.
This is fire.
I know.
Oh man.
All the heart and soul I poured into this. I didn't hold anything back either. I love it.
Does the camera? Can you?
So maybe that one.
This is crazy. Hold on. The visuals in here again. I always talk about these visuals, man. It's like this, but for the Sabres.
Yeah. Here's one of RJ.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Oh my. So what is so this exclusive for the kids. What do you want to do for us? I love the kids. But what about us?
I know. That's what my brain has been on this whole time, especially because now we're in Sabres fever.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. So is there a possibility? Is there a way?
Yes, I have full intention, and I literally have cleared my schedule and have actually already spent about 100 hours so far on writing what will be the true story that I want to tell.
Yeah.
No limits to my imagination. When you're partnered with a real existing group who has trying to serve very specific groups and charities and stuff, it's not the same as just being like, what could it be? If it could be anything, what could it be?
Yeah.
So, I hope this is all the best in disguise to make like a 2.0 version that is completely original and completely for the fan and for expressing everything we want.
Let's go. This is all right. So it's in the pipeline. It's gonna happen at some point. Oh, that's exciting. That is exciting.
Yeah. I am really, really quite excited. And I get to bring in the end of the drought. I get to bring in the team that it is right now. And,
Yes.
no matter how deep we go, it's an incredible season. It is what this book was for the Bills.
Right, right.
This Cinderella story from worst to first.
Yes.
Even in this story, the Bruins were our big baddie. Just for fun. I don't know if you can see this, but this is Kaya. This is who we just saw as the survivor.
Yeah.
And I put him in this book first on purpose because
Right.
I wanted to. So this is him hardened and through the difficulties. He's a survivalist. This is when we first met him. So he was a New York Islander. So he is a Islander from the islands.
Yeah.
When he's a rookie, and so this is his journey to the Buffalo Nation. As well as many other wonderful stories.
So okay, so we gotta get access to our own version of this. No limitations, man. Oh,
The Bruins, as the Bears who we talked about, are in this, and
this is so cool. Yeah, this is like the first time seeing this, man. Now we just got to get Josh Allen in there. You know what I mean? We just got to do a crossover there.
Well,
you know?
that is exactly what I'm talking about. With this, when you're partnered with a specific group, they have limits. And I always knew the Sabres and the Bandits would be a part of this world. Right. And I'm excited that the story that I can now tell as an original, Pan Am production will have all of the crossover in reality that we have.
Okay. We gotta. All right. Yeah. You know what? This is because we're gonna talk off camera for another 2 hours about this and getting the details of it. But I think for now, let's wrap it up.
That's true.
Bring it to an end.
That'll be a season 2 of this podcast. I hope.
There we go.
This talk of let's go through whatever this new Sabre story becomes.
Absolutely.
Right now, it's just a dream.
All right.
Yeah.
So with that, we've come to the conclusion of this episode of Buffalo and the Multiverse. I want to thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Cory McCants.
I'm Travis. Thank you.
We thank you for being here. Travis, how can they get access to this book?
That's right. If you want the book or shirts just like this, I don't sell Cory's shirt. It's beautiful though.
Okay. Shout out.
Yeah. Shout out to who?
Yeah. Shout out to my boy Lavish. He always comes through with the right gear.
Yeah.
Also, Pan Am has amazing gear. Where can they go to find these shirts?
It's all at panamfilms.com.
Panamfilms.com.
We'll see you there and see you next time, where we go to the Bengals in one of the biggest ultimate games of the year.
There we go. We'll see you there. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
If it takes and